Hey there, everybody. Happy Friday. We are back for another edition of SizzleForce Live on this lovely Friday afternoon. And today we are going to talk about speaking to grow your business, specifically how to grow your business as a speaker. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there have indicated interest to me in speaking to build your business, but you don't know how to do it. You feel like, well, first of all, you don't have a speech. Secondly, you don't even know how to break into the speaking world because you haven't done it before. Or maybe you've just done some like really little stuff or stuff that's not related to your profession. Maybe you've spoken for a mom's group or you've spoken at church or something like that, but it's a little bit different when doing it for business. Some of you guys just feel like, oh my gosh, speaking is terrifying. How would I ever do that? Well, I have answers for all of you today, and I'm super excited to be sharing this topic because I know it's something so many of you guys have asked me about. So many of you have asked me, well, how do I do this speaking thing? How do I break in? How do I write a speech that people actually want to hear? Bottom line, how do I build my business as a speaker? So, are you ready? Let's dig in. Hi, Mary. I can see you just joined us. Welcome. Glad you're here. So, let's start by talking about the reality of speaking, okay? A lot of you guys are afraid of speaking. And I get it. Oh my goodness, I get it. Now, I don't really have this paralyzing fear that a lot of other people talk to me about having when speaking comes up. I've never been one to really get completely just paralyzed and like, I can't breathe because I'm about to speak. What I will tell you though is, yes, I still get nervous. In fact, I get really nervous sometimes. It really depends on the audience that I'm speaking with, but the more I feel like the audience is kind of out of my league, like I'm stretching myself, the more afraid I get, obviously, right? Hi, Trista. Welcome to the live. Glad you're here. So everybody gets nervous. Now, I know that there are some statistics out there that talk about, it's got these crazy statistics that say like 85% of America is terrified to speak. You know what? I don't buy it. I just don't. And there's a couple of reasons why. If you do some statistical research on what that really looks like, it's debunked over and over again. Yeah, is speaking kind of scary? Sure it is. You're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself in front of a lot of people that may or may not like you. Yeah, that's scary. But is it scary to the point of like paralyzing you, like you can't do it? No, I think there's probably less than 10% of you guys out there that really it's really not for you. But the other 90%, you might be scared. You might feel like you aren't prepared at this time, which we're going to change, by the way. However, you can speak to build your business. You can and you should, because there are so many benefits to doing it. Okay, speaking is the fastest way to get in front of a huge audience and just hammer home the message you were born to share really fast with a big crowd, right? It is so phenomenal. Aside from, getting yourself on TV or on a radio show that has massive audience already built in it, speaking is one of the top ways to do that. You get to build your credibility, right? It is such an easy way to build your credibility and to show people, a large number of people, very quickly that you know your craft and you are really an expert in your particular niche. It's also a great way to build referrals. I get referrals for additional speaking engagements every single time I speak. Every time. And you will too, if you do it right, which I'm going to teach you how to do. Okay, you also get referrals for more business, not just more speaking engagements. But, you never know. In your audience, you may be speaking to 20, 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000 people, and only a portion of them may be in a place of being ready to buy, right? Ready to buy. But they have friends, and birds like a feather flock together. So you can generate tons of referrals for new business through speaking. Another thing you can do with speaking that's flat out fabulous is sell. Yes, you can sell your digital products. You can sell your tangible products. You can sell the products that you're thinking about developing that you haven't even developed yet, but that you're working on. Yes, you can sell at these events. However, you don't have to be a slime ball to do it successfully. Isn't that great news? Isn't it great to know that you don't have to be a slime ball when you are selling something, and that you can share a speech that isn't going to make everybody want to puke and run out of the room? Isn't that great? Welcome, Kim and Debbie. I can see you've joined us. So glad to have so many of you guys live today. This is great. Let's keep going on some of the benefits of public speaking. And you know what? If you guys are speaking, or if you've heard of other people speaking and the benefits, I would love for you to weigh in with your comments. Tell us what you think the benefits of speaking are. I know, Mary, I know you're listening right now and you speak, and I would love for you to jump in here and tell us what some of the benefits are that you've seen, and the rest of you guys that are listening. Trista, you've spoken. Let's hear it. Speak up. Okay, other things. You obviously get to establish your authority, right? And as an expert in your industry, everybody should be pursuing an authoritative status, because that is how you get to the next level, right? When you can showcase your credibility, showcase your trustworthiness, showcase the fact that you know information, you have intellectual property that everybody needs to know, it is a really, really fast way to become an authority in your industry. And another little side benefit of speaking is that it can often lead to some surprising other things. For example, you could get a book deal out of a speaking gig, right? You could get the next big offer. You could get so many different things. So there's a gazillion reasons to speak, but that's all fine and dandy, right? It's all great to know that there's benefits. It's a completely different thing to know how to speak and how to build your business as a speaker and how to break in to this market that maybe you have no experience in, or maybe you've dipped your toes in a little bit, but you really need to, or you want to get it to a completely different level. So we're going to dig in to some of that today. I will warn you guys up front, speaking is a huge topic. And so we only have a limited amount of time together in today's Facebook Live. I'm going to give you guys as much as I can right now, and then I'm going to tell you how to get more. Okay? Fair enough? Is that fair? I hope that's fair. Okay. Hi, Amy. Glad you're here. All right. So we're going to start by, well, where do we start? We're going to start with how we start when we want to become a speaker. The first step I think you guys need to take is to really identify where your passion lies. You are an expert in whatever topic it is, right? But chances are there are many spokes to that wheel. What I want you guys to do is to really think about what you are absolutely, positively passionate about in that wheel. There's something that you speak on that when you talk about it, you cannot contain your passion. You are so excited. You talk louder, you talk faster, you talk more. You could talk for days if nobody interrupted you, right? I could anyways. I'm working on that. But I want you guys to think about what you're really passionate about and what that thing is for you. So, for example, I could speak on a lot of different things marketing. There are a million different marketing topics I could cover. I know a lot about marketing. I've been doing it for 22 years, right? However, there are some things that I know really, really well. There are some things that I'm so super passionate about, you cannot pay me to shut me up on it. For example, storytelling. Storytelling is near and dear to my heart. Long before it was trendy, this was just a core value of mine. It's something I've been telling stories since I was a kid, right? It's part of who I was woven to be. So when it comes to storytelling, that is something that I can speak on because I'm passionate about it and I believe in it and I know the power of it. So it makes sense for me to speak on that. So what I want you guys to do is to start making a list of what those things are that somebody could not pay you to shut up about. Because those are probably going to be the topics that you should be speaking on. Now, if there's only one that comes to mind, great. One is fine. You only need one speech to get started. Oh, I just noticed you can see my Band-Aid. I cut myself this morning when I was trying to cut my daughter's bagel. I broke all the rules that I tell my kids, and I was cutting it with the huge bread knife in the kitchen without a cutting board. Duh. So my daughter gave me this. Look, it's a Hello Kitty Band-Aid. This is my life, you guys. All right, back to our topic. So you've identified your passion, right? You only need that one speech to get started. You may find over time that you have more than one. Great. You'll get to all of them. But for right now, when we're just getting started, I just want you to pick that one. All right. Next, you need to figure out if the market wants your topic. So you might be super duper passionate about some topic. I don't know. If one of you guys wants to throw out a comment to me right now as an idea, we could chat on that. If I don't see a comment pop up in like the next 2 seconds, I'll just make something up. But let's say that you are really, really passionate about making ceramic plates with handprints on them. You wonder where this comes from? Look behind me, okay? Hey, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know what to tell you. It's right in front of me. Okay, so, oh, very good. Actually, I love it. Mary is giving us some examples. So let's talk about her examples. All right, Mary's first example, community giving back. That is something she is really, really passionate about. So our next logical step after deciding that that's her passion is to discover if the market wants to know more about that. Because here's the thing. Even though we might be really, really passionate about something, and it might keep us up at night, it might make us sweat, etc., etc. Well, I should say it might make us sparkle because we don't sweat. As ladies, we sparkle. The guys sweat. So, even though we might be passionate about it, it doesn't mean the rest of the marketplace is. And we need your message, your speech to be focused on something that everybody else cares about. Not everybody, but everybody in this particular niche in your target market is equally concerned about, equally eager to learn more about. Right? So you can't, again, and I hate this because I have known some people over the years to create really dynamite speeches. I mean, their speeches rocked. But the problem was the topic, it was just off. It was just off, and there wasn't enough market demand for it. So it never got to the level that they wanted it to get to. And that's really sad, right? So save yourself that frustrating situation and do some research to find out if the marketplace wants it. Now, how do you do that research? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do. First of all, you can go to our good friend Google, right? And you can just look and see what kind of stuff is out there. There are, if you can create an AdWords account in Google, like pretend you're going to advertise, but you're really not. If you create an AdWords account, it's free. You guys can find tutorials online how to do this. And you can go in and you can enter certain keywords and you can see how many searches are being done on specific topics. That will give you a lot of information that you need to know, right? So you do some Google research. You can also look on iTunes and maybe iHeartRadio, some of those other podcasting platforms, and you can do keyword searches on the terms that you're thinking about speaking on. And you can see, are people already out there doing this? Are people already talking about it? Is there an audience? Is there a marketplace for what you want to speak on? Okay. Oh my goodness. We have like a superstar speaker that just joined us. Pam Farrell, welcome. I love it when you join my lives. I love it. Pam, for those of you guys that don't know, she speaks, I know she speaks all over the country. She probably speaks all over the world. I'm not sure on that, but she probably does. So Pam, pop in and brag on yourself if you wish. I know you're like the most humble person ever, but let's just be true. I'll brag for you because you won't brag for yourself. So Pam is an amazing speaker, has tons and tons of experience on this. So after you've done, okay, so let's review our steps. We have identified our passion. And Anne, I love what you pointed out, that your passion might not align with your business. So if you want to speak to grow your business, you have to pick a passion within your business, right? If you want to just speak, maybe you want to speak to further a cause that you believe in, that's a different thing. Right now, we're talking about how to speak to grow your business, okay? So pick a passion in your business that nobody can shut you up about. Number 2, do your research to find out if there's a market for it. Look on Google, look on iTunes, look on iHeartRadio, look at what the media is saying, look on Amazon, look at the books that are out on the topic, etc., etc. Okay, next step that you guys need to do is to choose a niche audience within that passion, right? And within that marketplace that you've found. So you might say, you know what? I'm really passionate about surfing. Super. That's awesome. Surfing is a fascinating topic, even to those of us like me that almost died when we tried surfing once and never tried it again. It's true. And I know Ann McCall is on this live, and Ann is like superstar surfer. I'm so not. I really almost died. But let's say your topic is surfing and you have a business that relates to surfing. Obviously, I'm not talking today about how to speak on surfing if that's just a passion and not related to your business. So now you need to hone that topic down some, right? It can't just be surfing in general because the category is too broad. So you got to niche down. Here are some ways to niche that down. If you guys you can do some more online research. Doing some of the Google AdWords research that I spoke about a few minutes ago will help you. It actually will pull up keyword suggestions for you. Another approach to all of this is you can actually go on Quora. It's Quora.com. Quora is a forum where maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. If you're not familiar with it, it's just a place where people ask random questions about everything, right? You can go on Quora, do a keyword search with the topic you're thinking about and see what pops up. Are people talking about this? Are people asking about this? You can do the same thing on Reddit. 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 Reddit is another great source to kind of identify what's everybody want to know these days. LinkedIn Answers used to be a great source. I think they took that away. And Mary, I don't know if you're still with us, but you're a LinkedIn expert. If you are, maybe you can pop in and tell us if they took that away, because I haven't seen that in a long time, and honestly, I haven't looked for it. So, but that's another option. So you guys know there's all these Q&A sites that are out there. This is a great way to just find out what people want to know. And of course, you can always just ask your existing audience, not necessarily your speaking audience, because if you're not speaking, you don't have a speaking audience, right? But you do have a network. You probably do already have a network of people that follow you. You probably already have some clients that you can ask. There's some clients that, you just do the job and you're done. There's other clients that really you develop a wonderful relationship with and you become friends. I have some clients that are now lifelong friends of mine. And so you can always bounce it off of them. If they're already working with you and they are a profile of your ideal client, who better to ask about if your topic is interesting than them, right? Okay, so Mary, thank you for popping in. I can see that you said you haven't seen LinkedIn Answers in a long time, and neither have I. So I wonder, that's too bad. I wonder if they took that away. But the good news is we have a lot of other options. Okay, so now you've identified your passion, you've checked out the marketplace to see if there's a demand for it, and you've found a way to get specific questions that people have on your topic, right? Those are the 3 things we've already done. Let's talk about the next thing to do. Now it's time to look for opportunities to speak on this exact topic. Now notice, I'm telling you to do all of this before you even write your speech. Isn't that weird? Do you think that's weird? To me, it seems contrary to what I would normally expect to be normal. Normally expect to be normal. You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Okay. The reason why is because a lot of people do this all backwards. A lot of people just write a speech and then they take all the other steps. And you know what happens? A lot of times those speeches just stay in your computer and they never get shared, and they collect computer dust or whatever the equivalent of that is inside your computer, right? And it's just time wasted. I don't want you guys to waste that time. I want you guys to write speeches on topics that people want to hear, need to hear, and are ready to hear, okay? And this is the process. So follow my process. Trust what I'm telling you guys to do, because I've done this for a lot of years. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so looking for opportunities. Where do you look for opportunities? Well, there are a lot of places to look for these. You want to look for opportunities both online and off, okay? Because speaking is not only limited to you physically getting in front of a physical group of people. That is awesome, and it can be really fun. It can be really profitable as well. Yet, it can also be limited unless you want to become somebody that travels all the time. And traveling for some of you guys all the time is like a dream job. For those of you guys maybe that have younger kids, or you're just not super hip on traveling all the time, it's not such a dream job, right? So we have to think of alternatives. Well, thank you to the internet. Now we can speak on webinars, we can speak on podcasts, we can speak on those, what are those called? I thought I wrote it down on my list. I did not. Summits. Summits. We can write on summit. We can speak on summits. You know, those like online summits that people do where they get experts in a lot of different areas and everybody kind of joins hands together and promotes it as one big event to their individual audiences. You can certainly do that. So, you want to look for what summits are already out there, what podcasts are there, what webinars are there. You can go on iTunes and look for podcasts by searching the keywords. Okay, the same keywords that you found when you were in AdWords doing your research. You can search those keywords in iTunes. You can also look for what's trending in iTunes, right? There is a section where you can look at I don't know if they say what's trending or what's new and hot, but it's something like that. Look in iTunes and see what's there. You can also look at your competitors. If you know that there's somebody out there that's speaking on your topic and absolutely killing it, you can do a search just on their name, right? You can do a search on their name in iTunes and on all kinds of different places. You can also look at Amazon, see what books are out there, what the best-selling books are out there. That's an easy search to do on Amazon. And that is a way for you to identify some of this stuff. So Pam says, I honed my speaking live, and this now helps me when I speak online, which is awesome. Okay, so Pam knows, as somebody who speaks, I think a few comments back, she said something like she speaks 200 or 250 times a year, which is crazy. But that's Pam. She's a crazy hot firecracker. So that is one approach, the approach that Pam took of learning to speak live, really becoming an expert live, and now being able to speak online. For those of us that are not in a position where we're speaking 200 or 250 times a year, I have found that actually speaking online, specifically doing these Facebook Lives that I'm doing right now, is an amazing way to build your confidence as a speaker in person. I actually will tell you this. I think doing these Facebook Lives is harder than it is to speak live at an actual event. And let me tell you why. When you do these lives, you don't get the energy from the audience, right? You don't have people that you can hear laughing or smiling. You can't see people nodding their heads. You just hope and pray that people will go ahead and write comments and keep the feed alive, right? However, if you can get past not having that immediate audience interaction, I think just getting yourself in front of a camera live where you're not scripted, where you're just going for it, is a great way to practice sharing what you need to say. Okay, Pam, thank you for supporting our suggestion on Facebook Live. That's good to hear that from a professional at your level. So you can also do YouTube Live. There's a lot of different ways to go live these days. And I would encourage you guys, if you're not speaking right now at these big events that draw a lot of people, dip your toes in by trying to do some lives, and don't script it, right? I used to do this. I will be very honest with you, very transparent right now. I used to get so stinking nervous if I did not have every single word of a script written out when I was first speaking. I would get absolutely beside myself nervous. And then if I missed a line in my script and I got lost on something, then I'd become a nervous wreck, and then I'd usually cry when I went home. I was quite the case, right? I have since learned that if I just have some talking points and I just share genuinely from my heart about what I know, it is far more effective. It's far less pressure, and the engagement you get with your audience is usually a lot better, right? So don't feel like you have to script everything out, and don't script everything out. It's probably going to stress you out more than anything else. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. A way to find live events. There are a lot of live events. They happen all over the place. From your local like Rotary or Kiwanis type club meetings to churches, up-leveling to small business networking groups. Then you get into industry-specific networking groups like, who knows, I don't know, the Attorneys Association of America. I don't even know if that exists, but something like it does, I'm sure. Okay. And then going even higher and getting up into conferences and ultimately becoming a keynote speaker at this amazing, huge event where they pay you $100,000 for an hour of your time. That's what we're going for, right? So what I will tell you guys is I just released a brand new product. It's called, I have to look at my title because I can't remember. It's called Speak to Sell Game Plan. And in this product, it's $57. So I made it really, really affordable. But I actually, one of the things that I include in there is a big beefy list of places that you can start speaking, even if you have not spoken before. So you guys will get that if you buy that course. And you can find that on SizzleForceAcademy.com. Again, it's called Speak to Sell Game Plan, and it's SizzleForceAcademy.com. Okay, so your next step after you have done all of the things we've already talked about is to identify the key points you want to cover in your speech. Key points. There are probably, I would say, 3 to 5 topics that you can cover within a specific topic. I guess I should say 3 to 5 points you should cover within a specific topic in a speech that lasts about 45 minutes. I have found in my experience that you really can't do a whole lot more than that. That you want to be able to do a deep enough dive with people that they can really grasp some solid takeaways. You don't want to give away the farm, but you also don't want to do this 30,000 foot view that really doesn't have any value with people. So there's a happy medium. I have found most speaking engagements that I do are roughly 45 minutes. Some of them a little bit longer. Sometimes people ask me to speak for shorter times, and usually I decline those opportunities because I just can't share enough value in a shorter amount of time. But 3 to 5 talking points. So you go back, you know now what you want to talk about, you know your topic. Now you've narrowed it down, you've narrowed down your audience, right? All this stuff. So now it's like, well, what are the most important things these people need to know? What do they really need to know? If they don't take away anything else from what you share, what is the one thing that they absolutely must understand? What is it? So go ahead and identify what those points are and just outline them. And maybe if you're a bullet point person or you're a paragraph writer, it doesn't really matter, right? I have found that doing little bullet point layouts is really helpful just because it gives me clarity on what my big topic is going to be and how I'm going to hone down within that niche to really get the messages across that need to be shared. So then you get into identifying the takeaways. Because the bottom line here is that if you want to speak, your audience has to get some great takeaways. And they need to be immediate takeaways, not just this promise of, yeah, and if you buy blah, 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 you'll get blah, 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 and whatnot, right? If they're going to take an hour or 45 minutes, whatever it is, out of their very, very busy day to go to an event to hear you speak, you owe it to them to give them some real value and some stuff that they can take home and apply, implement, whatever word you want to use immediately, right? So I want you guys to identify what your takeaways will be. What will you make sure these people know before they leave the room? What will they be able to do before they leave the room, right? What transformational tool will they have, boom, like that they can start using? Identify those takeaways because those are things that you're going to need to be promoting later on when you're talking to the people that book the speakers. Okay, so our next step, you know what you guys might want to do? Pam, I imagine you have a speaking page on your website. If you want to throw that in the comments, we would love to check that out. I can tell you guys, if you want to look at my speaking page, you can go to SizzleForce.com / speaking. So SizzleForce.com / speaking. And if you go on there, you'll be able to see I have 3 different talks that I deliver right now. And then if you hover your mouse over those talks, it's really cool little website feature. It'll like go bling, the little box will flip around and it will tell you the takeaways that you get when you listen to me speak on specific topics. So that will give you an idea, a tool to work with as you're trying to develop your own, if you just want an example. So your next step is to identify your call to action. Now, here's the thing. There are 2 kinds of speeches that you can deliver when promoting your business. There's the speech that you deliver that's just a speech. And then there's the speech that you deliver that actually sells stuff. we're going for the latter, right? We're going for the speech that sells stuff. And again, you do not have to be a slime ball to do this. You do not at all. You can be totally legit, totally authentic, totally true to who you are at your core, sharing your expertise and sell like hotcakes. Okay? So, but what you have to know to sell anything, you have to know what you want to sell. You have to have an offer. You have to have something of great value that people really, really want. And you have to offer it at a price that is really appealing to their budgets. If you are speaking to a cold audience, whether you're doing it online or you're doing it in front of a group of people physically, it doesn't really make a difference. You need to have an offer that is an easy buy-in, right? Something that it's not going to be like, oh, wow. I will tell you guys this. I'll give you an example. When I first started doing this stuff, I was trying to figure it out. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I remember I spoke at one event and I promoted an online product I had created that was almost $600 and nobody bought it. And I was really bummed out. I was like, what happened? Everybody told me my speech was so good and they learned so much and nobody bought it. And I was so sad. It's because my offer was way out of the ballpark of what this particular group could or would afford. It was way too big of a jump. It was way too big of a jump. And so you have to make your offer, if it's to a cold audience like that example that I just told you about was, it has to be something that's like no-brainer, something that is very, very affordable. You've proven your expertise for the last 45 minutes to an hour, and now they want to get a little bit more from you, but they don't want to marry you. It's kind of like that example that you guys have probably heard of. When you're marketing something to somebody, you don't ask somebody to marry you on the first date, right? You go on a date, maybe you go and you get coffee, then maybe the next time you go for lunch, then maybe it's dinner, then it's dinner and a movie, then it's an all-day event. The relationship builds over time into becoming a bigger investment, so to speak. When you are selling stuff at speaking events, it is no different. It is absolutely no different. So you have to come up with an offer that's an easy buy-in, right? Now, what's an easy buy-in? You might be wondering. Well, let's talk about what an easy buy-in is. I want you guys to just think about your personal experiences sitting in the audience listening to people speak, right? When you've been to conferences, you've heard people speak at whether you go to synagogue or, community groups, your mom's group, whatever it is, you have spoken at different events. You have listened to people speak at these different events. And I want you to think about what you've bought at these events. And what was it that they did that made you buy something? I mean, I've gone to events where I've bought something that was less than $20. And for me, it was a no-brainer purchase. I was like, yeah, I want this. This is great. It's just enough value to make me say, ooh, I want that. I'm kind of dripping because I really, really want it. It is not so expensive that I have to call my husband and discuss the purchase. There's this beautiful, happy medium place. Okay. This is why a lot of times when professional speakers are out there doing their thing, they sell their books because books are cheap, right? You can get a book for $15, $19, something like that. This is why a lot of people that have digital products will sell something way under market value. They'll sell it for like $7, or they'll sell it for $27 or $57 or whatever it is, right? Like the speaking class that I just released, my brand new thing that I added to the Academy, that is worth so much more than $57. But I priced it at $57 because I want to make it something that people can grab onto that is not a big gamble. It's like $57. It's not a big deal. And yet you can get incredible value. Now, what will happen as a result of that? People will buy it. Some people will buy it. Some people will buy it and never even look at it, which I don't understand. I will never understand why people do that, but it happens, right? Some people will get in there, take the course, love it, learn a ton, and they'll want more. And then I'll talk to them about what else I can offer at a different level to them. But that $57 range it's just well, duh, right? If I want to learn how to build my business as a speaker, if I want to learn how to write a speech that sells and create a killer speaker sheet, and if I want to learn where these opportunities are on where I can speak and all this other good stuff, $57 is a no-duh purchase. So you guys get what I'm saying? You guys need to come up with what your no-duh purchase is going to be. Your no-duh offer. So you identify your call to action. And then and only then, after you've taken all of these other steps, then you get into writing the speech. Are you surprised by that? I'm just wondering for you guys, does it surprise you that you have to do so much upfront work before you even write your speech? I bet you there are some of you guys watching this that have done it all backwards. Join the club. You're not alone. Honestly, I can't tell you how many people I've talked with that have done that, and then they get disappointed because it doesn't work. So trust the process. Trust the process. Do as I say. Okay, so back to writing the speech. There's the speech that you share just because it's something that you need to share. You feel compelled to share. And then there's the speech that you write because you actually want to sell something. So the difference between the two is that a speech that sells includes an offer that you seed throughout your talk, right? So you're not just waiting until the inevitable end of your speech when everyone is expecting you to dump the sales pitch on them, right? You're seeding it throughout your talk. You're referring to the offer and making people just curious enough to know to keep listening, right? But you're not just only delivering just value, dump, barf the offer on people. That's the wrong way to go ahead and do this. So you also, obviously, you have to have that offer, okay? So that's the difference between a speech and a speech that sells. A speech that sells, you've created a really magnetic offer, and then you've seeded it throughout the speech. Okay, there is a formula in my course that helps you guys outline your speech. Wouldn't that be nice to have? I've worked really hard on this, and I have finally come up with a formula that works flawlessly, right? I have used it so many times over the last few years, and I saw a huge bump in my own results, right? I've been speaking for a number of years. And when I first started speaking, honestly, I would come home and I would feel like I had just done a community service project, because it was fun to get out there and be in front of people, but people didn't buy anything when I spoke. And for a long time, I'd be like, what the heck? What the heck? Why isn't this stuff selling? Well, like I told you, part of it was figuring out what the right offer was. And then part of it was learning how to do this seeding process, right? It is not intuitive. At least it was not intuitive for me. One way to seed that I love to do is to actually let other people seed for me, right? So if I go to an event and somebody that has been a customer of mine is there, chances are if I see them, I'm going to call on them and just ask them to share their experience. Because I could brag about myself till I'm blue in the face. I could do that all day and all night. But that does not carry the same weight First of all, it's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to brag about yourself. It can come across as very obnoxious and very arrogant. But if somebody else is speaking for you about your expertise, about the transformation they experienced as a result of working with you, it is so much more powerful. So that is definitely one way that you guys can seed. There's a lot of different ways to seed, and it does not have to be slimy. I keep saying this because I want to hammer at home, because I think a lot of you guys, I know a lot of you guys are afraid of that because you've told me. You're like, I don't want to be like a used car salesman. I want to be me. I want to share my expertise. I've got some intellectual property that people need to know, right? I get it, and you're right. And you can seed elegantly, I guess is the best way for me to say it. You can seed elegantly. You don't have to be a slime bag. Let me check the comments here, because I think Pam, our resident expert, is checking in. She wrote, sorry, I'm going to get water. Pam, I wish you could speak right now, because I have a frog in my throat. This is embarrassing. Okay, I'm going to try and get through this. Read what Pam said. Give me a second. This is what not to do. Okay. Whew. Thank you, Pam, for continuing the comments. I don't know what just happened. I swallowed air. So, that is what not to do. Here's another thing I wasn't going to talk about, but because this happened, I will. You guys got to get in the practice of rolling with stuff. Stuff happens. You swallow air and you start choking. Stuff happens. It's life. And you know what? We're all humans. And if you're really speaking to your target audience and they hear you choking your guts out, they're going to be cool with it. If anybody is going to turn their nose up and walk away or criticize you because you're being human, you don't want to work with them anyway, right? You really don't. So let's be real. If something happens when you're speaking, this was not planned, obviously. Okay, it happens. Move on. Okay. This also goes for if you're doing stuff online. Technology can and will fail you at times. Just trust me. I've been doing this long enough for you to know that technology will fail you. Whatever device you're using will break when you don't expect it. Your internet will go down. Your sound won't work. Your lighting will stink. Stuff's going to happen. You just got to learn how to roll with it. So, let's move on. Okay. You need to create promotional materials. You also need to be prepared for the unexpected. Do you notice I had my water right here? That's because these things happen, and I know these things happen. I will give you a little side note tip. When you have water and you're speaking, don't use chilled water. You don't want ice water. You want your water to be at room temperature. I don't know what it does to your throat, but it does something different, and it helps to clear your throat. So, let's finish this up by talking about the promo materials that you guys need when you are speaking. You're going to need a speaker sheet. A speaker sheet, some people in the industry call it a one sheet. I have found that my one sheet is usually the first thing that people request when I am pitching them on speaking at their events. Some of the smaller venues don't even know what this is, so they're not going to ask for it, right? But when you start speaking at a higher level, people will say, well, let me see your speaker sheet. So what is a speaker sheet? A speaker sheet is usually an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper where it can be just one-sided or it can be double-sided. The more you speak, chances are your speaker sheet will actually become like a gatefold or, like a brochure that you can open up like a magazine. And it's got several sides to it. So on your speaker sheet, you're going to have, obviously you're going to have your name. You want to have pictures of you speaking once you start getting into that circuit. When you're just starting, you just want to have a really nice headshot. You want a headshot where you look professional, but you also look friendly and approachable. Because there's a lot of professional photos out there that make you look like an authority, but you also look stiff and like scary, right? So you want to get a picture that makes you look friendly and approachable and like somebody that people would enjoy listening to. Then you need to have your topics, your speaking topics laid out on it with the key takeaways that we talked about a little bit earlier. So that when somebody is creating an event and inviting people in, they can quickly look at your speaker sheet and get a quick synopsis of who you are, what you look like, what value you bring, and all that good stuff. Now, you do want to have a printed version of your speaker sheet, but in today's world, you need a digital version. So you need a PDF that people can quickly download, and you need that available on your website. The speaker sheet is another thing that I teach you guys how to create in my course. So again, if you go to SizzleForceAcademy.com, you can see that. You also want to have a speaker sheet on your website, a specific page that's dedicated to you as a speaker. In the beginning, you want your page basically to start out by talking about the problem. What is the problem that relates to your speaking topic, right? What is the problem the marketplace faces? And then you introduce the solution that you offer through your speaking engagements. You're going to add that download to your speaker sheet. And once you get out there and you get some practice, you're going to want to create a speaker reel, which is a video of you speaking and different clips. And you guys can see an example again of mine if you go to SizzleForce.com/speaking. So there is so much more I could talk to you guys about speaking and how to build your business as a speaker. Obviously today, sorry, I've got some congestion issues. And that's gross, and I don't want to gross you guys out. And I'd also like to catch my breath. So we're gonna call it a day right now, and I'm gonna wrap this up. But I hope you guys have learned a few tips that will help you get started with all of this. And I hope you'll forgive me for being human and starting to choke in the middle of my talk, because it happens, and it just does. Okay, and now I have a choice. Let me be really real with you right now. I have a choice right now. When I'm done with this live, I can turn it off and say, no, don't post it, because I don't want anybody else to see this. This was embarrassing. But you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, because I am going to go ahead and put this out there for the world to see, because even though I choke through it, it is a message that all of you guys need to know, right? It is a message worth sharing. And if you get nothing else out of this, maybe you get the message that it's okay for you to be human and to let things roll off your back and to have the courage to just be real. Above all, if there's one thing your audience is going to relate to, it's authenticity. Authenticity will sell faster than anything else. You can be the most credible person in the world. You can have the most impressive education. You can have the most impressive professional background. But when you're real and you emotionally connect with people and you talk about things that really move them and transform them and equip them to be more successful in their journey, That's the ticket. That's how it happens. So there's a lot more on this. I am eager to hear your additional comments and questions. So please, if you're watching this as a recording, please go ahead and leave your comments and questions, because I will be looking at them and I will be answering them. And again, I invite you guys to check out my new course. It's really cool. It's $57. Speak to Sell Game Plan. We outline your signature speech. We create your speaker sheet. I give you a list of all kinds of places you can start speaking if you've never spoken before, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You can find it on SizzleForceAcademy.com. Okay, I'm going to go recover now. Have a great weekend, you guys. I will talk to you again next week.